What is up, family Zimbabwe? Welcome back to the channel. Never go to another page. The only place in Zimbabwe where we tell it like it is, and it no filter, no fear, no status approval needed. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button right now because today we are going deep. And if you are a returning family member, you already know. Pull up a chair. This one is spicy. Now, it is May the 1st, Nasinduan, Workers' Day, the one day of the year that is supposed to be dedicated to you, the worker, the hustler, the person waking up at 5 a.m. to catch a commuter omnibus, the vendor setting up their store in the cold, the nurse who hasn't had a proper salary raise in years, and come to my $20. This day belongs to you. But while you were sleeping last night, dreaming about a better Zimbabwe, maybe dreaming about a government that actually fixes the roads or schools that have textbooks, or a currency that doesn't make you dizzy, while you were doing all of that, someone at the State House was sitting there with their laptop open, finger on the select button, finger on the delete button, playing musical chairs with the people who run this country. Happy Workers' Day, Zimbabwe. Your gift this year, a midnight reshuffle. Don't spend it all at once. So here is what happened. The chief secretary of the president and cabinet, Dr. Mnangagwa, dropped a stack of papers. And when that man drops papers, it means somebody's moving, somebody's being moved, and somebody somewhere is very stressed right now. Now, before I get into the names, I want you to understand something. Permanent secretaries are not just bureaucrats sitting in offices drinking tea. These are the engine of government. Ministers come and go. We have seen that. ED reshuffles ministers like DJ reshuffles songs. But permanent secretaries, these are the people who actually run the ministries day to day. They control the budgets. And they control the tenders. They control who gets what, when, and how. So when you move permanent secretaries around, you are not just doing admin. You are repositioning power. Remember that point. We are coming back to it. All right. Let's get into it, Zimbabwe. Who got moved? First up, Simon Masanga is now heading to the Ministry of Environment and Wildlife. Environment and wildlife people. Now, I wish Simon all the best. I genuinely do. But I also need someone to check on the elephants, because with the way things are going in this country, I would not be surprised if someone finds a way to tender out a national park. Simon, please protect the wildlife. Muriko Gogo, chef. We have lost enough already. And next, Dr. Thomas is now over at the Ministry of Mines. And this is where I need you to sit up straight, Zimbabwe. Mines, as in diamond, in platinum, as in lithium, the mineral that the whole world is currently fighting over because it powers my electric vehicles and entire green energy revolution with Kapasirino. Zimbabwe is sitting on one of the largest lithium deposits on the planet. Did you know that, Zimbabwe? One of the largest. And yet the average Zimbabwean cannot afford electricity. So whenever there is a movement in mines, pay attention. Who controls the mines controls the money. And who controls the money controls everything else, Zimbabwe. Then we have Ambassador Tichivangana moving to Industry and Commerce. Industry and Commerce is the ministry that is supposed to be driving investment, creating my jobs, making sure my businesses can actually operate in this country. And the fact that they are putting an ambassador there is interesting. It either means they want someone with international connections to attract foreign investment, or it means someone needed a soft landing after their diplomatic posting ended. You decide which one feels more accurate. And then the big one that caught my attention, Dr. Shingai Mshamba, has been appointed as the new permanent secretary for Harare province. Harare, capital city, and the most populated province, the place where political temperature is always the highest, the city where protests start, the city where civil society is most active, the city where people are loudest about bill number 3. And you are putting a fresh permanent secretary right there in the middle of all this constitutional chaos. Interesting timing. Dr. Mshamba, very interesting timing. Now, family, let me take off the comedy hat for a second and put on the thinking hat, because this is where we need to be serious. And why the midnight rush? Why also Muswa 1 May? Why Workers' Day of all Mamaswa? I have a theory. Actually, I have two theories, and both of them should concern you. Theory one, there is a leak in the ship. When a government start moving senior officials around rapidly and without clear explanations, it sometimes means someone has been talking to the wrong people. Someone has not been loyal. He hasn't been loyal enough. Someone has been too friendly with the opposition, or too friendly with journalists, or too friendly with the civil society organizations that have been causing headaches about Bill number 3. In any administration, not just in Zimbabwe's reshuffles, reshuffles sometimes happen because trust is broken down internally. You move people out of sensitive positions before they become a problem. You replace them with people whose loyalty you are sure about. And then in theory number 2, this is a deliberate consolidation. And this is the one that worries me more. Look at where these reassignments are happening. Mines, Zimbabwe. Environment, which includes land adjacent ministries. Harare province. These are not random portfolios. These are strategic positions. If you are a government that is trying to extend its time in power, and let's be honest, with Bill number 3 on the table, that conversation is very much alive, then you need to make sure that the people in key positions are your people. People who will not ask uncomfortable questions. People who will implement instructions without hesitation. Controlling mines means controlling revenue. That doesn't have to be publicly accounted for in the way that tax revenue is. Controlling Harare province means having a tighter grip on the urban population that is most resistant to your agenda. And controlling the narrative through people in information and commerce means shaping what stories get told about all of the above. This smells. It genuinely smells. And it is not the good cooking smell. It is the smell of food that has been on the stove too long and nobody wants to admit it. It is burnt. They call it efficiency. They call it improving service delivery. But let me ask you a simple question. If this was really about service delivery, why is service delivery not improved in the last 8 years? Why are we still talking about water shortages in Harare in 2026? Why are vendors still operating without proper infrastructure? Why are hospitals still asking patients to bring their own gloves and medication? If reshuffles worked, we would have seen results. Another story. So everything goes back to the Bill number 3. And I cannot talk about this reshuffle without talking about the elephant in the room. Not the one Simon Masanga is now in charge of protecting. The other elephant in Zimbabwe, the constitutional one. Bill number 3 is the proposed constitutional amendment that would extend presidential and parliamentary terms from 5 years to 7 years. It would effectively cancel my elections in 2028 and push everything in 2030. And some constitutional lawyers have warned it could even open the door to 2033. Let me say that again, slowly, 2033, Zimbabwe. That is 7 more years of the same government without a fresh mandate from the people. Students have been abducted for speaking against it at public gatherings and hearings. Activists have been beaten. Lawyers have raised their alarms. War veterans, the very people who historically have been ZANU-PF's backbone, have submitted petitions to parliament saying no. The Catholic bishops have spoken. Civil society has spoken. The diaspora has spoken. And what does the government do in response? They reshuffle. They move the people in power around and put loyalists in sensitive seats. Because if you cannot silence the opposition, the next best thing is to make sure your own house is in order. Make sure every person in a key position knows exactly who they are serving and what is the agenda. So this is not governance, Zimbabwe. This is preparation. and we need to call it what it is. And the funny thing is, right, Workers' Day nas. Let's come back to the date for a second. May 1, International Workers' Day, a day that originated from the labor movement, from workers who stood up and said, enough, we deserve better conditions, we deserve dignity, we deserve a voice in how we are governed. So the irony of announcing a power consolidation reshuffle on Workers' Day is almost poetic. It is like throwing a party for someone and then picking their pocket while they are blowing out the candles. The workers of Zimbabwe are still waiting for better wages, still waiting for the ZIG to stabilize so that their salaries actually mean something at the end of the month, still waiting for the social contract to be honored. Instead, on their day, the government was busy moving chess pieces, because that is exactly what this is. It's chess. And the problem with chess is that most of the pieces on the board do not know where they are being moved. The pawns never do. Anmaiza. So here is my final question for you, More Zimbabwe. And I want you to really sit with this one. Is this devolution or is this dilution? Are we genuinely moving towards a better run Zimbabwe, where the right people are in the right jobs delivering results for ordinary citizens? Or are we watching in slow motion a very careful, very calculated tightening of control, ministry by ministry, province by province, permanent secretary by permanent secretary, ahead of a constitutional change that nobody voted for? But Zimbabwe, they call this whole thing my reassignments. But I call it refreshing the guard to make sure the door stays locked. They call it efficiency. I call it rearranging the deck chairs on a ship that still has not fixed the hole below the waterline. But hey, that is just my 2 cents. I could be wrong. Maybe Simon Masanga is going to revolutionize the environmental policy. Maybe the new man at the mines is going to make sure that my diamonds and lithium revenues finally reach the people. Maybe Dr. Mshamba in Harare is going to solve the water crisis that the city has been suffering through for years. Maybe. But until we see results, real results, not press releases, not reshuffles, not my constitutional amendments dressed up as reform, well, we are going to keep asking the questions that matter, because that is what this channel is for, Zimbabwe. So tell me in the comments, is this a genuine move to improve the country, or is this just more preparation for the third term agenda? Is Mnangagwa playing 4D chess while we are just trying to afford bread? Drop your thoughts below. Keep it civil, but keep it real. And if you found value in this video, please share it, not for me, for Zimbabwe. Because the more people who are informed, the harder it is for anyone to pull the wool over our eyes. This is your boy. Keep it real. Keeping it loud. Keeping it pro-democracy. Stay loud, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.